Brave browser, the privacy-focused browser based on the Chromium engine, has reached a milestone user count that has attracted specific attention from Google, from the broader browser industry, and from the privacy advocacy community. The specific milestone is 100 million monthly active users, which Brave has announced and which various independent analytics have corroborated. The specific milestone is notable for several reasons. It places Brave among the most widely used browsers in the world, though still much smaller than Chrome. It demonstrates that a privacy-focused browser can achieve substantial scale, and it represents a specific challenge to Google's dominance in the browser market, which has implications for Google's commercial model that depends on Chrome's market position. Google's response to Brave's growth, while measured in public, has included specific actions that reveal how the company views this specific competitor. I want to walk through what Brave is, how it has grown, what the specific appeal has been for users, how Google has responded, and what the broader implications are for the browser market in 2026. Let me start with what Brave is. Brave is a web browser that is built on Chromium, the open source browser engine that Google also uses as the foundation for Chrome. The specific choice to use Chromium means that Brave has broadly compatible web support, similar to Chrome's, without Brave needing to develop and maintain its own browser engine. The specific difference between Brave and Chrome is in the specific choices the browsers make about privacy, advertising, tracking, and the various commercial integrations that surround the core browsing functionality. Brave's core privacy features include aggressive tracking protection that is enabled by default. The browser blocks most advertising, most tracking scripts, and most third-party cookies without requiring the user to install extensions or configure settings. The specific blocking is substantially more aggressive than Chrome's default behavior, and the specific result is that browsing on Brave is faster and less observed than browsing on Chrome with default settings. Brave also includes a specific advertising system called Brave Rewards, which is optional and which works differently from traditional web advertising. In this system, users can opt in to view occasional privacy-respecting advertisements in exchange for receiving a cryptocurrency token called Basic Attention Token. The system is specifically designed to not require individual user tracking, with the advertising being selected based on specific categories rather than on individual behavior. The specific system is controversial in some respects, but has been the subject of substantial development and refinement. Beyond the advertising system, Brave includes specific features, including a built-in Tor integration. For anonymous browsing, a specific video call system called Brave Talk, a specific search engine called Brave Search that is independent of Google, and various other features that collectively offer a more private and more self-contained browsing experience than Chrome offers. Let me describe how Brave has grown. Brave launched publicly in approximately 2016. The growth was initially slow, with user counts measured in single-digit millions for the first several years. The specific inflection point came around 2020, when awareness of browser privacy issues increased, and when Brave's specific features had matured to the point where the browser was a credible option for mainstream users. The growth since 2020 has been steady. The user count moved from approximately 10 million to approximately 25 million, to approximately 50 million, to approximately 100 million, with roughly doubling periods of 18 to 24 months. The specific growth has been international, with particularly strong adoption in markets where privacy concerns are culturally salient. The specific demographics of Brave users include several groups. Privacy-focused users, who are specifically looking for more private browsing, have been an early adopter group. Cryptocurrency users, who are interested in the Basic Attention Token system, have been another group. Mainstream users, who have heard about Brave from friends or from online sources and who are willing to try alternatives, have been a growing group. Technology professionals who evaluate browsers critically have been a persistent group. Together, these groups have contributed to the growth. The specific reasons that users cite for choosing Brave include privacy, performance, the absence of advertising, the specific features like Tor integration, and the general sense that Brave represents a different philosophy about browsing than Chrome does. The specific appeal is not uniform. Different users choose Brave for different reasons, but the specific common theme is that Brave offers something that Chrome does not, and users who care about that something are finding Brave. Now let me describe Google's response to Brave. Google's public response has been limited. The company has not directly criticized Brave, has not made specific public statements about Brave's growth, and has not appeared to treat Brave as an existential threat in its public communications. The specific posture is that of a dominant player that does not want to draw attention to a competitor by engaging with it publicly. Google's practical response has included specific actions that have affected Brave in various ways. The specific changes to Chromium that Google has made, including the Manifest v3 changes that have affected extension capabilities, have affected Brave as well, because Brave is built on Chromium. The specific effect of these changes on Brave has been to limit some of the privacy-related extensions that Brave users previously relied on, though Brave has worked around some of the limitations through its own development. The specific changes that Google has made to its own search, its own services, and the broader Google ecosystem have affected Brave users in specific ways. Some Google services work less well on Brave than on Chrome because the services are optimized for Chrome, and because Brave's aggressive blocking interferes with some Google integrations. The specific extent of this is limited, but it is real. The specific competitive actions that Google has taken, including the ways in which Google promotes Chrome within its own properties and within the broader web, have a cumulative effect on alternative browsers, including Brave. Users who encounter prompts to use Chrome, notifications about Chrome features, and specific messaging that assumes Chrome are experiencing a specific promotional ecosystem that favors Chrome over alternatives. The specific regulatory context in which Google operates has been a factor as well. In various jurisdictions, including the European Union, there have been regulatory actions that specifically address Google's browser market practices. The specific regulatory landscape has produced some changes that benefit alternative browsers, including Requirement Zone. For browser choice screens and requirements for default settings that do not privilege Google's own products, Brave has benefited from these regulatory changes in specific markets. The broader implications of Brave's growth are several. The first implication is that the browser market is more plural than it was several years ago. Chrome's market share, while still dominant, has been eroded modestly. The specific erosion has been absorbed by several alternatives, including Brave, Firefox, Edge, Safari, and various smaller browsers. The specific distribution of users across these alternatives is more diverse than it was, and the specific commercial and strategic implications of this diversification are real. The second implication is that privacy has become a specific market differentiator in a way that it was not previously. Browsers are now competing partly on the basis of their privacy claims, and the specific claims that browsers make are subject to public scrutiny. The specific competition has produced for users better privacy options than were previously available. The third implication is that the business models of browsers are diversifying. Chrome has relied on its connection to Google's advertising business as its primary commercial rationale. Brave has developed a specific alternative advertising model. Firefox has relied on search deals and on subscription services. Other browsers have explored other models. The specific diversification of business models is producing a more interesting browser market than the uniform Chrome, Firefox, Safari market that existed for much of the 2010s. The fourth implication is that user choice in browsers is a more meaningful thing than it was. Users who choose browsers based on specific values they hold can find browsers that align with those values. The specific availability of options is a benefit for users who want to make informed choices. For users considering whether to try Brave, the specific question is whether the features Brave offers align with what they are looking for in a browser. Brave's privacy features are substantially better than Chrome's defaults. Brave's performance is generally good. Brave's compatibility with websites is broad because of the Chromium Foundation. Brave's specific features, including Tor integration and the basic attention token system, may or may not be appealing, depending on user preferences. For users who find Brave appealing, the specific migration from Chrome is straightforward. Chrome bookmarks, history, and saved passwords can be imported into Brave with a specific import feature. Chrome extensions work in Brave because of the shared Chromium Foundation, with some exceptions for specific extensions that depend on Chrome-specific features. The broader observation is that the specific growth of Brave, from a niche option to a browser with 100 million users, is evidence that browser choices are moving. Users are not locked into Chrome. The specific alternatives are mature enough to support mainstream use. The specific dynamics of the browser market are shifting, and the shifts may continue. Subscribe for the next video, which provides a specific comparison of Brave, Firefox, and LibreWolf for privacy-focused users, with specific tests of the browser's actual privacy protections. And in the comments, tell me which browser you use and why. The specific preferences of many users are what drive the market, and understanding why users make the choices they make is informative for the broader conversation.